I've always been drawn to the macabre, to the places people whisper about but dare not visit. That's why I found myself standing at the gates of Blackwood Manor on a stormy evening, clutching my camera and flashlight. The wind howled like a warning, but I ignored it. I was determined to uncover the truth about this cursed place, to separate fact from fiction. The gate groaned as I pushed it open, its rusty hinges protesting against the intrusion. The mansion loomed ahead, a shadow against the stormy sky. Its windows were dark and hollow, like eyes that had seen too much. The air inside the manor was heavy, suffocating, and carried the faint smell of decay. My footsteps echoed in the grand hallway. The sound swallowed quickly by the oppressive silence. I turned on my recorder, speaking to calm my nerves. Blackwood Manor, I said. A place of countless legends. Let's see what's real. I played back the recording to check the audio quality, and my blood ran cold. Beneath my voice was a faint whisper, "You should leave." My throat tightened, but I forced myself to continue. I entered the dining room next, and the sight stopped me in my tracks. A long table stretched across the room, set for a meal no one would eat. Dust covered the plates, and cobwebs draped over the silverware. One chair at the head of the table was pulled out, as if someone had just been sitting there. A sudden thud upstairs made me jump. I gripped my flashlight tighter. "It's just the wind," I muttered, though I didn't believe it. The stairs creaked beneath my weight as I climbed, each step amplifying my growing unease. At the top, a hallway stretched before me, lined with doors. One door at the end was slightly ajar, and a faint light spilled out. The whispers started again, louder this time, though I couldn't make out the words. My hands trembled as I pushed the door open. It was a child's bedroom. Toys were scattered across the floor, and a small rocking chair swayed back and forth, though there was no breeze. I raised my camera and snapped a photo. When I reviewed the image, my heart stopped. The rocking chair was empty, but in the mirror's reflection, a little girl sat there, staring at me with hollow eyes. The whispers grew into a roar, a cacophony of voices screaming in unison. The door slammed shut behind me, and the temperature plummeted. My breath came out in clouds, and the shadows in the room began to move, crawling along the walls like living things. "Get out!" a voice bellowed, shaking the very air around me. I spun toward the door, but it wouldn't budge. I pounded on it, screaming for help, but the only response was cold laughter. I turned back to the mirror, and the little girl was closer now, her hollow eyes locked onto mine. Her mouth moved, but the words echoed directly in my head, "They'll never find you." My flashlight flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. I felt icy fingers brush against my arm, then my neck. I screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the shadows. I don't know how long I was in there before I blacked out. When I woke up, I was outside the manor, lying in the rain. My camera was beside me, but the memory card was missing. I haven't gone back to Blackwood Manor since. Sometimes, though, I dream about that little girl. She's always there, in the rocking chair, smiling. And every time, I wake up with the faint sound of whispers in my ears. I had planned this road trip to escape, to leave behind the stress, the noise, and the routine that had been suffocating me. The open road was my therapy, the hum of the tires on the asphalt my only companion. I didn't have a destination in mind, just the need to keep driving under the vast, quiet sky, it was well past midnight when my GPS began to act up. The screen flickered, and the voice rerouted me onto a narrow, winding road. It wasn't on the map, but I figured, why not? The thrill of the unknown was what I was looking for. The road twisted through a dense forest, the trees towering above like sentinels. My headlights barely cut through the darkness, and the further I drove, the thicker the fog became. The silence outside was oppressive, as though the forest itself was holding its breath. Then I saw her. A woman stood on the roadside, drenched from the rain that had begun to fall. She raised her hand, her thumb outstretched, asking for a ride. I hesitated for a moment, something about her seemed off. But I couldn't just leave her there in the cold. I rolled down the window slightly. "Need a ride?" She nodded without a word, her face shadowed by the hood of her coat. I unlocked the door, and she climbed into the back seat. The air grew colder as soon as she entered. I glanced at her in the rearview mirror, but her face was hidden. Her head was tilted down. Her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "Where are you headed?" I asked, trying to break the silence. "Just further down," she whispered. Her voice was soft, almost too soft to hear. I nodded and kept driving, though I couldn't shake the unease creeping up my spine. The road seemed endless, and the GPS had completely stopped working. I glanced at the woman again through the mirror, and my heart skipped a beat. She wasn't there. I slammed on the brakes, my pulse pounding in my ears. Spinning around in my seat, I saw the back seat was empty. But the seat was wet, as if she'd just been there. A chill ran down my spine as I noticed something else. There was a newspaper on the seat, soaked and crumpled. My hands shook as I picked it up and unfolded it. The headline read, "Local woman killed in hit and run on Old Hollow Road." Beneath it was a grainy photo of the same woman I had just picked up, my breath caught in my throat. This was Old Hollow Road. Before I could process what was happening, my headlights flickered. The engine sputtered and died, leaving me in complete darkness. I fumbled with the keys, trying to restart the car, when a sharp knock came from the passenger side window. I turned slowly, and there she was, her face pressed against the glass, pale and twisted in a chilling grin. Her hollow eyes met mine as her voice echoed in my head, "You shouldn't have stopped." The car wouldn't start. The windows wouldn't roll up. And the last thing I remember was her hand reaching through the glass. Icy fingers wrapping around my neck as the darkness consumed me. When I woke up, I was sitting in my car, parked at the edge of a deserted road. The woman was gone, but the wet newspaper was still in the back seat. I don't drive at night anymore. And I never, ever take unknown roads.
Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. And hey, share it with your friends, it really helps the channel grow. Thanks for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.